Welcome to Conversations with Celena, the podcast where we discover inspiration, motivation, and information to help you live your best life. I'm your host, Celena, aka Sunshine, and each week we'll dive into conversations with guests who share their testimonies, insights, and advice. We'll explore topics that uplift, encourage, and empower you to be the best version of yourself you can be. So tune in and let's have some fun while we explore all that life has to offer. Keep it smiling, sunshine, and let's go. First time, I am Celena, aka Sunshine. This is Conversations with Celena, and we bring different guests to come in to share their testimonies, talk about their businesses, just talk about life. Conversations that may be hard to have, we have them here. And like I said, I'm so excited to be back. I cannot wait for you to meet my guest on today. I'm going to tell you a little bit about her. But before I do that, I want to say thank you to everyone that made I Owe Her possible. I Owe Her 2025 came to a close at the end of October, but we will be preparing for 2026. So keep Conversation with Celena, Sunshine, in your prayers. Let's see what else we got going on. I think that's it. That's all. We're just gonna jump right on into today's episode. Be sure to share this video because I guarantee you it's gonna bless somebody. Okay. You got your tea? I got my tea. Hold on. Got my tea. Get your tea, get your coffee, come back, relax, and you're in for a treat. I'm going to give y'all a second to share, though, because I don't want y'all to miss nothing. So click the share button. Share. Sharing is caring. Ain't that what they told us? Sharing is caring. Okay. All right. Y'all should have had enough time. So today's guest of Conversations with Celena, she is so beautiful. Her name is Annetta Caldwell. She grew up in Austin, Texas. She now lives in Chesapeake, Virginia, with her husband, Ryan, and their 7 children. She enjoys dancing, art, and nature. Her favorite animals are deer, and she loves relaxing with a good movie, and a hot cup of tea. So I'm gonna let her tell the rest of it. That's just a little snippet about her. So I want you all to welcome to the stage Miss Author and speaker who's been running around the country telling and sharing her testimony, Miss Annetta Caldwell. Come on, girl. Woo! Let me see what am I clapping at. Let me see. I think I got some clap. Welcome to the stage, girl. Welcome to the stage. The crowd was cheering you on, right? Thank you so much for coming to Conversation with Celena. Like I told you, we've been running around. You've been doing things, talking about your new book. I've been out with I Owe Her. So now we can come together and have a conversation about what God is doing in our life, turning our pain into our purpose. And it has just been so powerful. And so tell us just a little bit about what I didn't say that you would want our audience to know before we jump into our conversation.
Well, from Austin, Texas. And when I was there, I actually, that's where I met my husband in Texas. We went to Youth with a Mission together. And that's what eventually brought us here to Chesapeake, because our mobile team leader actually asked if we'd come out here to work for a church. So we've been here for quite a while. I think I was pregnant with my 3rd when we came from Texas to Chesapeake. And so, yeah, that's kind of a little bit when we got started. But I actually, I wrote this book. So you were talking about Caught. That's my story in there. And I started that about 5 months ago. I published it.
When did you start writing it? 5 months ago?
Yeah, I finished it 5 months ago, but I started it, like, a year ago, and
Okay.
then I got the first part of it done, like, December 31st, because God told me it would happen before the end of the year, so it was, like, to the day my first copy came to me. So I was like, "Oh my gosh." But I started it, like, last August.
I hear people say it took them a week to write their book. Like you said, 5 months to get it done, or a year ago, 15 years. It just ranges of how people's journey, comes to fruition. Say that word.
Fruition? Yeah.
Fruition. I guess it came out right. It just sounds so country coming from me. Um, so I think getting it on paper sometimes can be the hardest thing. Don't you
Mhm.
agree?
It is, like, it took me a while because I actually started out with videos, and so I would do a video and then we would put it into words, but it took a while, just like, I'd wake up every morning, like, at 5:30 and start from the beginning and just start sharing on YouTube on the where nobody could see it, and then we did from there, we got it on paper, but it was just it took a while to get to that point, but I felt like it was God's timing because all the things that I went through up until December is in my book, and I felt like every one of those stories were meant to be in the book. So his
Hmm.
timing's perfect of when it actually came out, but he's been working on me for a while, and I'm like, "Ah, okay."
Yeah, we definitely go through some things, but like you said, it's all in God's timing. And then we don't understand it. That's another thing that makes it difficult. Not only getting it down on paper, but when we're going through, it just seems so hard, so difficult, so unfair. But then when you come out on the other side, it makes sense. Like it's
Mhm.
all part of the plan. And so I am excited to hear about this process because I know you know Miss Ramona. Miss
Yeah.
Ramona just be on me about Sunshine. You got to get stuff written down, and because of the people that it is, sometimes it's hard to put it in right. Makes it even more difficult. On top of it already being a hard task, it makes it even harder to put it in writing. And so, like you can write things in third person. You don't have to say it in, I did and this happened to me and that sort of thing. So you can write it from a different perspective. And so that's been a thing. But Miss Ramona has definitely been on me for about sitting down and writing. But when you just said about the videos where you make them private, but you create them and then go
Mhm.
back and put them in writing, I remember our first conversation. You shared that with me, and I was like, okay, girl, because I use my voice note. But a video might actually be better for me to do. So I'm glad you reminded me of that because maybe that'll help me get started.
Yeah, because it gets your brain going and helps your memories come too. Because it's like you're talking about it just like you would have a conversation with somebody, and then
Mhm.
and then you don't worry about the mistakes or about how the format's coming until later. It's just a matter of getting it out of your mind, get it onto the paper first, and then you don't have to worry about all the corrections and how it looks until later. Because I think people are intimidated of writing a book because 'cause they're like, "I'm not a natural writer," or, "What if there's all these mistakes and all this stuff?" And really, God just wants us obedient. So he's like, "Just obey me to do it, and then I'll give you the help you need as you go." Because there are people that gave me some advice as I went, but that big one was actually, like I said, the video, getting that out, and then we worked on how does it make sense? How does it flow? But God had me totally do it different 5 months ago from my original part. Originally, it was just like, Netta grew up in Austin, Texas, this and this, but he told me he wants people to experience it. So it's in first person, but it's like you can feel and see all the things around you so that you're actually knowing what I went through as if you're doing it too. And that way, when you see the good things happen too, you can actually feel, oh my gosh, God is real. He's doing this right now. And in her life, he could do it in my life. So it's kind of this way of personalizing it. So people also don't get bored of just like, because it could be facts, but then you want people to go through all the experiences that you went through. And that
Mhm.
powerful because then they can relate to it a little bit.
Yeah. And then when you can take people through the emotions with you, the happy emotion, the sad emotion, that
Mm,
definitely keeps them engaged with your book or your video or your movie or whatever it is. It
mhm.
keeps them engaged. So you are correct about that, because I think as long as you're relatable, that's the most important thing. Like, people can feel it because they experienced it, and you're bringing that back up, that part of their life up in their life. Like, okay, I can really relate to this portion of her story, but it doesn't mean they want to stop there. They want to know what's next. I remember, I don't know if you've seen Maya, but Maya has been on Conversation with Celena, and she's been on Miss Ramona's show. But her book, the first one that she wrote, was just like really straight to the point, and it was a short read, quick read, but she got you like locked in on what she was actually going through. So I think it's kind of the same thing, because I was like, really? Oh my gosh, and can't wait
Yeah.
to see the next. So that's awesome. I know Maya probably be tired of me talking about her and her book. But she be saying, Miss Sunshine, you could write her, Miss Ramona. Who else be on me about writing this book? It's a couple people that's just like, you need to write a book. But the book that I wrote, it was in a like a book collaboration. So it was a chapter in the book. That
Mhm.
was hard. Girl, I was on
Yeah.
the floor, boo-hooing, snotting, real tears just to
Oh,
write one page, because we had 10 pages that we could write. I only made it through about one, maybe two, because I was over there saying, this is crazy. And if you go read it, you're going to be like, what she was crying for? But it was just the process of pulling it all up.
it's emotional. I feel like it's a birthing process. Like, you're going through this, and then when you get to the end of it, it actually there's like, "I can't do this anymore." I remember crying so hard when I was at the end of my book going, "I can't do this," and it felt like the Holy Spirit's like, just push, you can do this. There's gonna be something on the other side." And when I did, I was like, "Oh my gosh," he helped me get through this whole thing, but it wasn't like this easy thing, like, because 'cause you're remembering, and especially if it's on your story, you're remembering all these experiences you had, and then some of it is like, have I been healed from all of it? Like, some of the past things, and some of it came up even in real life afterwards. Like, I've had testimonies already of people that God has put in my path that were in my book to bring reconciliation, which I was like, "What is happening right now?" Because I was like, that was 11 years ago. And it's like about like 3 weeks ago, God put that person in my path, and I had to be real, did I really forgive? And it's like, okay, and he started bringing reconciliation with that relationship, which I did not see coming. I was like, it's like making full circle of seeing
Mhm.
that he could turn things around, but literally in real life, real time. So,
Yes, yes. So now enough about like me, because I'm fixing to sit back and I'm fixing to listen with my cup of tea. You just share a little bit about the testimony of where you come from whenever it comes to in relation to the addiction, the witchcraft, and how God brought you over to the other side, to where now you are just on fire for God and going and sharing in different places, almost getting ready to be on the news. Like, we fixing to be on the news. And you just and who knows, it might be the movie next. One step at a time, God is just taking you, but he is taking you in rapid speed.
yeah, I'm amazed because I like I said, it's all about obedience. So, as I'm, like, obedient to one thing, then he opens the door, and so, but yeah, going to my story, it started, when I was 3. I was actually sexually abused by somebody, and it started from 3 on till about 12. So I had massive amounts of abuse there, and there was some physical abuse and different things, and so out of that, I tell people that there was this place in my heart that was broken. And so I was looking for somebody to help me because in my own home, I didn't feel safe and I was experiencing this stuff. So my favorite thing to do was to go to my friends' houses. And that started 5th grade. I started experimenting with alcohol because of that. So um, I went from that to trying to find my identity in my friends. And so at school. So I remember I had a friend that was like my best friend, and she was popular, a little bit popular at the time. And she was like, well, you have to wear your makeup like this. You have to do this, and trying to help me because I had no clue what I was doing. And um, but she wasn't like super popular. She was like in 5th grade she was, but 6th grade we're all kind of like new in school. And so there was a group of kids that I really wanted to be connected with. And so I went overboard. I was like, they'd wear like these weird shorts over their pants. I'm like, I'll do it, however I could try to get their attention. And then one day, one of the girls approached me and said that their guy that he's like, he was probably like 4 foot tall and he had bodyguards with him. Not really bodyguards, but they were his friends that were really tall. So they were kind of like always with him, and said he liked me and wanted to know if I wanted to go out with him and I could go hang out with him at a party. So that to me was like this huge moment. I was like, oh my gosh, I could be part of the cool kids. And
Mhm.
I went to that party knowing I didn't like this guy, but I wanted to be in with them. And I got my best outfit and I went to the store and I was like, this is so cool and cute. And when I got there, I was talking to this girl and some people started showing up and it's like, he's going to be here any minute. And he opened the door and it was like out of a movie. He like opened the door and he was in the center and he had he had his 2 bodyguards and he was like, I'm here. I'm like, wow. And he asked in front of everybody. It was like, I don't know if it was right that moment or a few minutes later. He's like, will you go out with me, Annetta? And I was like, yes. And everybody starts clapping. I'm like,
Oh my goodness. What just happened?
I
Like,
was like, what is happening? And so
he
I
didn't even have a conversation with you. He just okay, keep going. I'm sorry.
so he and I went out. We had like our first kiss or whatever in the other room. And then I was like an hour into this, I couldn't handle it anymore. So I told the girl, I don't really like him and I think I need to, and she goes, well, you need to be honest. And so I ended up telling her that. She went out and told everybody and told him. And so that he was like super mad. She was like, she decided she didn't like him. And everybody was like, oh my gosh, how could you do this to this guy? And everybody went outside. I stayed inside for the rest of the night by myself and just kind of like, oh my gosh, what have I done? I woke up in the morning and my hands and my feet were super glued together. And I was like, what the heck? So apparently when I was sleeping, they came in and super glued my pants and my feet, my hands as revenge for me breaking up with this guy. And when I got to school on Monday, the inevitable happened, right? Everybody was talking about me and the cool kids were all making fun of me and all this stuff. And then um the my other friends didn't really like me because I had chosen this other group. And I did something really dumb. I actually reached out to his best friend that weekend and because I liked him. And so he said he would go with me somewhere, go out with me, and then he called me back an hour later and said, never mind, I can't do it. It was kind of like this revenge thing to me again, because I don't know why I did something that dumb by calling him. But so they were mad about that too. So it was a double whammy when I came to school. So I had like no friends. And then my other friends, like I said, they were mad. So I was just in this, I was starting to go downhill and even more because I was trying to fill that place in my heart.
Mhm. Mhm.
And these 2 girls show up at some point during the school year and find out about me, but they say they'll still be my friend, right? And I was like, somebody wants to be my friend. And I find out they're into cocaine, heroin, witchcraft. This is 8th grade, right? I'm like, okay, so I'm hanging out with some rough people, but they always would be like, you can be a part of stuff. And they started so I got experimented with like Ouija boards and we would do stuff like a little bit of stuff, not a whole bunch with like witchcraft, but it was kind of the door opening. And I think there was
Mhm.
a party I went to when I learned about some of the witchcraft stuff at that party. But I went from there to graduate like getting done with 8th grade and I was getting more and more broken. So I dyed my hair. I started skateboarding and I still love skateboarding. I don't know why. It's just fun. But I was like, I'm going to be totally opposite of what I was, because I was kind of like into the prep scene and, be like, oh, so cute. And so now I'm like looking all like, you know, I
Rough,
didn't get
little
emo
rough.
yet. Yeah, I was getting a little rough. And I ended up going to ninth grade to another school with my friend. And when I was there, by this point, I had already started getting so depressed. It was still not great at home. I had already started experimenting with alcohol again, and I was wearing all black at this point. I had already tried to commit suicide, I think once or twice. No, at least once. I already tried to commit suicide with like pills and stuff. And I was totally emo. I like had the black eyeshadow and lipstick and everything. And I just started isolating myself from everybody. I would sit out and look at the trees and just be like, well, that's all I'm gonna do is look at the trees, and obviously people. I don't need people. And this one guy, one time he would come by there, he'd start throwing Coke cans at me and calling me a freak and all this stuff. And I was like, man, like everybody hates me and I hate myself. I started cutting myself a lot. So I'd get the razors, and that was how much hate I had, right? I was just like, I can't stand myself. And this one guy, other guy approached me looking like me. And he's like, why don't you hang out with us? You'll feel better. And at first I said no, because I knew what he meant, because they were into some drugs, some bigger drugs. And I was like, no, I'll be fine. As I like tears are like, I'll be fine.
Mhm, mhm.
So eventually I decided to go hang out with him. And I looked and we all looked the same. We were all emo. Like we're all completely uh, wearing all black. Everybody's depressed. And I'm like, we'll all be depressed together. And then I started using the drugs with them. So even though those friends that were doing heroin and all cocaine, all that stuff, I'd done a little bit of snorting stuff, but it wasn't like the really hard stuff right now. So I start hanging out with them. We start doing drugs like every weekend. And then I'm actually drinking. I find a way to get alcohol. So I'm drinking every day to go to school, to cope with the pain and all the stuff that's coming up in my life, which looking back, I know it's because all the trauma, everything that I experimented with and everything that happened to me was
Mhm.
just like there was nowhere for it to go. So I just numb it out. And one day I went to a party with my new friends, and we went to the back of the room. I think it was like a normal party at first. And then at the end, it was just like a few of us. So we go to the back, and there's a table back there, and we're talking about all kinds of like spirits and talking to spirits. And they said there's this one that we'd like for her to find a host or find a body to go into. And I was like, I'll do it. And my friend with me was like, are you sure? You don't have to do this. And I was like, no, it's fine. So they get me on the table and they perform like the seance, and they invite, Satan basically to come in. And I surrendered myself to it, right? I'm like, well, I'm just committing myself to Satan. And I said it was a spirit, but obviously, So I get done and I end up feeling so much fear. Like I can't even handle it. It's just super fearful. And let me take you back. I forgot one other story, because there's another place where witchcraft was introduced. Those girls that I met in 8th grade, we had a party at my house. And when we were there, everything seemed fine, but they invited somebody to show up. And this girl was an actual witch. So I forgot to mention that's kind of a big part of my story. She came in and started doing tarot cards on me. And then after we did that for a little while, she says, do you want to go in deeper and do a little more? And I said, well, okay, it's fine. And she had me get a Bible, and then she had her own book, and she said, you have to rub them together as part of the seance, and the books actually started moving by themselves, like without me doing it. And I was like, that's pretty scary. And anyway, so I went kind of far there. And then eventually, after she was doing the readings on other people, she left the party. And I went to my room, and it looked like the poster was coming alive. Like the eyes looked like they were moving. And I was like, what the heck? And I brought a friend in there, and she said she saw the same thing. So we're all like freaking out, and we're like, what's happening? So there's all this fear. But it bring you to the ninth grade experience. I felt the fear was inside of me now. So before it was like on the outside.
Mm-hmm.
Now it
Mm-hmm.
was on the inside. And when I went outside to take a breath after committing myself to Satan, I heard like a cackle outside, and I felt like, oh my gosh, I went really far, right? And I went from there to meeting another group of friends. And I tell people, Satan knows what your weaknesses are. And so he'll always put like temptations or things in your path. So my biggest thing was friendships. I
Mm-hmm.
felt lonely. I felt like I was rejected. I always was looking for acceptance from people. So he knew that. So it was always coming from friends that he would introduce this stuff to me. So this other girl comes in and with her friend, and we're doing drugs all the time. So like I said, this is it's just continuous, like alcohol and drugs. And she and I start having a conversation at her house, and she's like reading stuff. She goes, Annetta, did you know that we could become white witches? And I was like, oh, I go, is that bad? She was like, well, no, there's white witches, and then there's like black witches. It's like white magic and dark magic, and we would be on the good side. And I was like, okay. And she said, the only thing is that we have to do a blood oath. And so I was like, well, and so it was kind of creepy, but I was like, okay, well, I'll do it. So we had me.
Girl, you said okay a lot.
I said, okay.
You said
I said,
okay a
okay.
lot.
I was
Like,
like,
okay.
okay. I wasn't very wise. I have other stories in there where I was like one guy almost had me jump off a bridge. I was like, okay. And I almost did. And my friend came, was like, get off the bridge. And that was one of the stories in my book. But yeah, I was like, okay. So we actually cut each other, drank each other's blood. We did the whole, we did the spells. We did like all the stuff that we read in the book. We became white witches. And at first I was like, okay, there wasn't a lot that you were seeing, but then all of a sudden something was growing, obviously, in me. And from there, I was downtown Austin with them. And I went up to a guy that I didn't know. And I asked if I could drink his blood. And he was on a motorcycle. And I remember it very clearly. He was on a motorcycle and he pulled out a knife and he cut himself. And I drank his blood on the spot. And I was like,
Whew.
maybe. My friends were like, what have you just done? And I was like, well, I don't know. I just, it was like one thing after another that I was doing these
Mhm.
really bad decisions, but it came from this brokenness in my heart and
Right.
trying to find some place to fit. I was in a lot of scenes where, I shaved my head at one point. I was at the concerts all the time. There's crazy stuff happening. I was trying to be in gangs. It was just crazy because I was constantly searching. And
Mhm.
that was probably the worst that it got right there was that stranger and realizing I could have gotten anything from this guy. They were like, he could have diseases. I didn't even know. I was like, what did I just do? And um, so that led me to still doing more drugs and alcohol. And I would still like, there's this one point where I was like, you know what? I'm doing really bad. And I was at school and one of my peers came up to me and he said, hey, it looks like you might have a problem. Like in high school, he came to me and I was like, oh, this is bad. Like he's wanting me to know about AA and Alcoholics Anonymous, Narcotics Anonymous. He said he came into it. He says, I think you could really benefit. And I was like, I don't have a problem. I could stop anytime. I'm not addicted. And he's like, well, okay, can you at least go hang out with me and my friends? Like we could just go to a party or something. So I said yes. And me and my friend, the one that we like became witches,
White witches.
we
Uh-huh.
white witches, right? And there's no difference. People can say white witch versus no, they're all witches. And there's no such thing as Christian witches. I'm just gonna put that out there because there's people that do that. Witches are witches are witches are witches. So
Mhm.
I'll just say it. There's no in between. There's no one that's better or worse. They're all bad. It's all against what God wants. So that's my little spiel. But I got in the truck with him and we rode somewhere and my friend was like, do you know this guy? I'm like, I'm sure it'll be fine. And I was like, it's a party. She's like, okay. So he stops the car and she was like, where are we? And I'm like, I don't know. So he stops the car and he's like, we're bringing you to an AA meeting. I was like, what? So I got super mad. I got out of the truck and I'm like, can't believe you did this. And he was apologetic, but I didn't care. Me and my friend just stormed off and got on a bus and got back home. And I was like, I can't believe he did that to me. So that was
Girl,
very
out of all the
specific.
things that you say okay to, the one thing that he's trying to help you, you get the maddest, jump on a bus and flee from that situation versus going in and getting some help. You would have had a whole group of people to embrace you and to love you and to be your friends and help you become free sooner. But okay, go ahead.
But I said no.
You said no. I don't know why my hair flying like it's flying like. Go
Yeah,
ahead,
so
girl.
I ended up no, okay, so I ended up saying, "You know what? I'm gonna show that I can get sober." My mom gave me a counselor to hang out with, but, talk to,
Mhm.
and she was in AA, and so she would talk to me, but I'm like, "I don't have an issue, I don't have a problem, I'm fine." So I was constantly in this battle of trying to get sober at the same time, and then I would always fall back into it. So my cousin, he ended up saying, "Hey, maybe she needs a goal in her life," and he came to my mom and asked if I could find something I really want, and then go to his home in Houston and work and try to get this thing. So he's like, "If you could have anything in the world, what would it be?" And I was like, "Ooh," I was like, "Maybe like a motorcycle or a moped or something." He goes, "Well, let's go look at them." So my mom agreed. I went and I found this beautiful, like, red, like, scooter, and I was like, "Oh, that's it." He said, "Okay, we're gonna take a picture of it. You're gonna keep this in front of you and say, 'Every day, I'm gonna focus on this, and I'm gonna work hard to get this, scooter.'" So my mom says, "It's totally fine. I can do this." So I go there. He teaches me how to mow lawns, how to weed eat, how to do all the stuff to take care of somebody's yard. So we ended up going there. Every day was so hard because I was sober. I was like mean. I was angry and I had no way to, I couldn't do anything. I was like in my cousin's house with his wife and I'm like, I can't. But at the same time, I was working every day until night. And I'd look at that scooter. I'm like, I'm going to get it. I'm going to get it. So we get to the end and I have enough money for this. And so it was a lot of money I raised in 3 months, but I was working hard with him. He had friends who would tell me about that and did their yards done. My mom comes, my mom comes to pick us up. My voice is getting all weird. My mom comes to pick me up and her and my cousin are going at it. And he seems really angry. And I'm like, what in the world? So I go over there and I was like, what's going on? And he says, well, your mom thinks that you shouldn't get the scooter. And I said, well, I've been working all summer. And he goes, I know. And so she said, I didn't think you would actually do it. Like, I didn't think that you would come through because she saw the kind of condition I was in, I guess. And she thought I couldn't actually do this. So she was surprised. So she never was going to let me get it in the first place. I was so mad. And I was like, oh my gosh. So I have all this money and now nowhere to spend it. And my goal was this. That's where my heart was, right? I'm going to get this. So after that, my heart just closed off again. And I'm going to say my mom did the best she could, and she was there for me in other ways. So I don't want to paint her as this, she did make a mistake, but she also loved me in other ways. So I just want to put that out there. So I'm not like making her seem like she was so bad, but she did make a bad decision, But I got back home and I decided, well, what do I do with this money? Okay, I'll get more drugs. So all of a sudden, I went from being sober to I'm going to go and get high. I'm going to use this money now. And I lost part of it because I put it in my sock, all the cash in my sock. So I lost half my money that way. And then the rest of it, I just said, you know what? I'm just going to get high again. Nobody cares about me.
Oh
Everybody hates me.
no.
And I just went, it was almost like God was giving me a reprieve and this happened. All of a sudden, I'm like, well, what's the point? And my friend told me about a new drug that was coming out. And she said, we don't know the guy, but we hear he makes this really new, good drug and we'll all do it together. And I'm like, well, I don't know if I should do that. And she's like, no, I'll hold your hand the whole time. Nothing's going to happen to you, Annetta. And so I go to her house and they have this big party and all of us from this new drug dealer get this new drug and we all take it. And she pretty soon after taking it is on the floor laughing. And I'm like, so much for my friend that's gonna be here for me.
How you gonna hold my hand and you on the ground already?
I know, you're on the ground. How are you gonna help me? So I was a mess, and I noticed that I wasn't coming down from the drug. My friends
Were you
around,
laughing? What did
I
it have
was,
the same effect on you?
but some of it I was just hallucinating a lot.
Oh, okay.
So my friends were getting better, like they were coming down, but I wasn't. So it went to like 12 hours, I was still high. Then we get to 24 hours, I'm still high. I'm still seeing stuff. And they're like, Netta, that's not normal. And then I went from that to what was it? It was, yeah, 48 hours. I head back to my house and then I decide, wow, I'm really high. Why don't I go on my skateboard and go downtown Austin again in the middle of traffic? So it's 3 days now, and I decide to go downtown, and I ride down there, and I don't it's a miracle I didn't get hit by a car. Like, I'm still hallucinating, and I'm thinking to myself, "I'm never coming off of this drug. Like, I'm gonna be high forever." Like, my friends are already for some reason, it had this effect on me where I wasn't getting sober. Like, it wasn't going away. And I ride my skateboard to, the spot downtown, and when I do, I look up and I was like, "God, if you're real, I need you to help me." And all of a sudden, I realized I'm in the same spot that guy took me to go to that AA meeting, and I didn't even realize it at the time.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I was like, "Oh." So I knew where the AA meeting was, and I took my skateboard and walked right up there, and they welcomed me in, and that was the start of me getting sober. That was the last time I did any drugs or alcohol. And it was like they were like, super young. I was the youngest one there, and they were like, "We welcome you in," and they gave me a ride home that night. And from that moment, it was like God was showing, like, it's like my eyes were open, and all of a sudden I'm like, God, I can't get sober on my own. So he actually helped me through the tremors. I'd be shaking every time I was coming in, and they're like, it'll get better. And the high started going away, which I was so thankful that I was coming back into my right mind. And because if you're not sober by 12 to 14 hours after taking those kind of drugs, usually you don't come down from them. And especially that I was on day 3. So it was a miracle that I was actually coming back.
Wait, when you say don't come down, what does that mean? That you just stay just out your mind for the rest of your life?
Yes. And there's people that it's happened to. And there are people on the streets in Austin that are still talking to themselves. It'd be like 20 years, 30 years. I mean, they're still not in reality. And it's the drugs can damage your brain that bad. Or even if you get a bad drug, I don't know if it's the same exact one as my friends had, but your body, like it can ruin your brain for life. And so I was seeing myself go down that path. So the fact that God graciously brought me back to reality, I was super thankful. But I started wanting to know who he was, because even in AA, they just say a God of your understanding, but you don't know. Like, I was like, well, who is God? Because my dad was Muslim. My mom was a backslidden Christian. My brother was Buddhist. There's some Catholic stuff too. I just didn't know who God was. I was like, who is God? So I started praying. I was like, God, show me who you really are. Because we're all like, some people are like, oh, you put your faith in a doorknob. That could be God. And I was just like, God's not a doorknob. So I was just like, what do we do? So I started praying. And then one day I was like, God, show me who my sponsor should be. Because you get a sponsor to help you go through the 12 steps and
Mhm.
Alcoholics Anonymous. So I was like, okay, I came in and I looked, and this lady she looked like she was shining, like she was glowing. And every word that came out of her mouth was like peace. I don't know how to describe it. It was just like this very peaceful, happy feeling. And I was like, I want her as my sponsor. And when I went through being like under her and going through the steps, she ended up saying, Annetta, the only thing that's going to help you is Jesus. He's the only thing that's going to set you free from your fear. And instead of saying, okay, I went, well, let me think about that. Like, maybe.
Girl,
And
you tickling me because the okays was coming so freely. And then all of a sudden you're like, let me think about that.
I know. I was like, maybe, I don't know. And now it gets better. Instead of just saying, okay, my life is still hard and this is who God is, I end up getting on a bus, and this lady in a long white dress with long blonde hair approaches me. And she starts asking me if I know who God is, and she starts talking to me about Jesus. And I'm telling you, this lady, so strange looking with this long white dress. Everybody on the bus doesn't even seem to notice her. And I look around, I'm like, does anybody else see this lady talking to me? Like, is this crazy? And she's like, just, think about it. This is, she's trying to present like who God is to me. And I get off the bus like, oh, I'll think about it. That's what I'll think about it. And I'm still having issues with at home. People are not happy that I'm wanting to get sober and all that stuff. So it's still kind of wrecky at home. Like, and I'm like, God.
And that's crazy in itself that they don't want you to get better.
Yeah, because I was like the party girl. So I made things fun, like when I was drinking or when I was high. When I wasn't, I was angry and I was sad, right? So people liked me. I even had a friend saying, you need to go drink or use drugs because you're really mean when you're when you're sober. So not everybody was on board with this. And I kept praying. I was like, God, show me who you are, right? And I already have had my sponsor. There's like other people talking about Jesus around me now. Then this lady, right? So I get on the bus again, and this is a little bit later. The same lady, white dress, long blonde hair, approaches me again. And she's like, so have you thought about Jesus and where are you at? And I'm like, I'm still thinking about it. And I'm like, I don't know. I was like, maybe. I don't know if this is who God really is. So I'm super like guarded about accepting Jesus, right? So I I remember being like, okay, life is really hard. I'm praying. My sponsor is still talking to me about stuff. And finally, I'm so stubborn, right? Finally, in the parking lot, I look up and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to do it right now. So I get on my knees and everything that people have been telling me, I say, okay, I confess I'm a sinner. Jesus, I accept that you died on the cross and you rose again and that you want to live in my heart. And I ask that you come and live in my heart. You forgive me for all my sins and that you give me a second chance. And I accept this is who you are, right? And I say this prayer and it looks like the clouds kind of parted up in the sky. I remember these clouds like, and I was like, huh, that's interesting. So I leave and I tell my sponsor, she's like, you're a Christian now. And everybody's so excited and they're talking about me getting baptized. So I get on the bus again after this happens. And that same lady's there, right? She comes and finds me and she goes,
it's like, lady, do you ever get off the bus?
do you ever get she's like, I tell her, I look at her and I go, guess what? I accepted Jesus. She's like, that makes me so happy. I was like, good. She goes, here's a Bible. And she's like, do your quiet times. And she starts giving me all this advice and make sure you're reading. And after that day, I never saw her again. It was 3 times. And not until I accepted Jesus that I never saw her. And I would ride the bus daily for years. Never again. And I was like, that is wild. So I know she was an angel, but I joke with people. I'm like, look, I was struggling and so stubborn with stuff. God had to send an angel like in the flesh to me to get me saved.
And the way that you could remember each scene is just amazing to me because it sounds like you did some really hard drugs and went through some very traumatic situations, and you can recall these instances just like it just happened. Like remembering what the lady had on, what her hair looked like, what this person said, what this person did, and I'm just sitting over here like, wow, I pray that God is able to help me recall some of myself when it's time to get it, do the videos, write the book, whatever, that I'm able to make it. You took me along the journey, just like you said, how you wrote it in the book. Just now, for the last 20 minutes, I feel like I went through this with you because of your ability to tell this testimony.
Oh, well, thank you. I mean, it's totally him. I've prayed. I was like, God, help me, because there is still stuff that I don't remember everything. There's still some blackout spots, but I feel like he helped me remember the things that would help people or like even getting the story out. Because there was some other stuff that had happened that I'm, and I won't say every single thing that, that I did, but there was stuff that I kind of blacked out. And I think some of that was even just the witchcraft stuff. And some of it got like when I went through deliverance, some of the hard memories, when they affected me in a negative way, like I can talk about it now, but since I've been delivered, I can I can talk about it without being a wreck. When I would try to tell people this before, I would be breaking down. But he told me I did not want to share my testimony. It's so funny that he's called me to do this because I was like, I wanted everyone to think I grew up in the church. And I'd be like, oh, yeah, yeah. And they'd talk about stuff. And I'm like, I have no idea what they're talking about. And then eventually he's like, the Holy Spirit, like, what are you doing? You didn't grow up in the church. I'm like, okay. So I started telling people, but it started freeing me. Like God freed me to be able to do it, but then it's also freeing me to tell people. And then they can tell their testimony without shame because I'm like, okay, if somebody can tell you they were out drinking a stranger's blood, can you go out and say, hey, I did this and it was not good, but God forgave me? Because he's like, when you're forgiven, you're a new creation, and God can give you like he can redo everything. Like I feel like my childhood is being restored. I feel like he's helping me to overcome what people think about me, all these things that have been consuming me since I was a little
Yes,
kid.
come on, girl.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, yes, yes. I
Mhm.
mean, listen, if don't nobody else feel like they was blessed from this, I know I have been. Just because, when you go through it and you do struggle for so long trying to fit in. So like I could relate to a whole lot of what you said. Not everything, because of course it's our journeys are different, but just that wanting to fit in and wanting to be accepted and wanting to be loved and trying to cope when no one really knows the struggles that you're going through. So it's very difficult for them to understand you and where you're coming from and what your struggles are. So it's like no one really knows how to help you. You don't even know how to ask for the help because you have not found your voice. But once you do find it and God sets you free and you are able to talk about it, that's like, I mean, you talking about freedom. There's definitely freedom in telling the truth, like just standing in your truth, regardless how ugly it is, and just being honest. And we do try to make it kind of cute for people because you don't want it to be so ugly and so raw. But hey, that's what's going to change people, listening to your raw, unfiltered, unapologetic truth.
Yeah. Well, it's
And it is
different.
hard to
Yeah.
tell.
It's different. My first book, I actually had somebody give me advice and say, "Hey, you need to put the dark stuff in there," because I tried to make it pretty. It was like pastel and pink, and it was me and Jesus dancing. And he's like, "Do you want people in Africa like the witch doctors, do you want them to be reached?" And I was like, yeah. So I had to start my entire book over. Actually, it took me only maybe a month or two to do the whole thing. And I started from scratch. So I threw out everything and I said, Holy Spirit, help me know how to write this book. And he wanted me to put the darkest stuff in the beginning and go through all the dark things. And then you get to the redemption. Because,
Mm.
if we stay in the dark, that's not good. But if we pretend the dark didn't happen, that's not good either, because people don't want to hear about all these good
Come
things without
on,
hearing
girl.
the dark stuff,
Because we
right?
all
It's
go
such a
through it
relief.
all. Like there's
Yeah.
seasons that we all go through. There's trials, there's tribulations, there's happiness, we go through it all. So to pretend like part of it didn't happen, that is crazy. That's crazy work. So I'm glad you threw out the dancing and the rainbows and pastel and all that kind of stuff. Just throw it out and start over.
I just started over, got in my closet. It was like, okay, Holy Spirit, here we go.
That's awesome. Girl, this has been an amazing, amazing testimony. I'm telling you, you didn't help me. I feel like going in the closet right now, like we got the radio that we got to go do, but I feel like as soon as we get done, I need to go into the closet and just be like, okay, Lord, just help me to get this done for real, for real. Like all jokes aside, all talk aside, let's do it.
Well, I was going to say the one thing that helps that I tell people is spend 15 minutes a day. You don't have to get the whole thing done at once. You might only get a paragraph done and then you celebrate. I got a paragraph of my book done, because what'll happen is it'll start snowballing. And then all of a sudden it's going to go from one paragraph to you're going to write a whole chapter. that day. But I would say don't look at the whole thing, because that's where you get overwhelmed and then you get stuck like, oh, how can I ever write a book? But it's like, if you just say, just take this little piece, and after your quiet time, spend that little bit of time in there and ask Holy Spirit, how do I start? And it might look totally different than what mine looks like, or it might look the same, just whichever Holy Spirit's telling you. But you just take that little 15 minutes daily, and then it'll start growing from there.
So now tell me, how do I go get the book?
It's on Barnes and Nobles and Amazon. And then if you're in Virginia Beach, it's actually at Heaven and Earth in their bookstore. And then you can also go to my website, and my website, you can buy it directly from there too. And then I'd ship it out to you. But it's ftfministries.org. And
I see you got them back there behind you. I sure was going to ask you if I could just get you to send me a couple back there.
Yeah, I can.
It looks like you got 4 sitting behind you, don't you?
I do, yeah. And then it's what it looks like. Did I show that? I showed it earlier, right? That's what it looks like. And then that's the back of it.
And how much is it, Annetta?
$24.99.
$24.99. Yeah, I need to get that.
And I have a new thing on my website. If people want to donate to the ministry, they could donate directly on my website, on ftfministries.org. And that goes towards stuff for the business. Like, because I want to share at churches. I've already started sharing at churches and youth groups. And then hopefully, if the news takes my story, I'm praying for that. That'll be wavy 10 if that happens. So that's still something I'm praying about, because they're supposed to get back to me on that.
Girl, they will. They're going to accept it. It's already accepted. So purchase cart on Barnes & Noble, Amazon for $24.99, only $24.99. Or did I get it right? The ftfministries.org?
Yeah, perfect.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, did you have any? Listen, I forgot about my questions that I do ask. So I'm going to ask you 2 questions, because you did an amazing job sharing this testimony. I didn't feel the need to ask you anything. You went from point A to point B and took us along that amazing journey of redemption. So thank you so much. It blessed me more than I can't even find the words to tell you how this testimony just blessed me today. But if you could tell your younger self something, what would you tell your younger self? And what's my other question? Baby, it's been a minute since Sunshine been on here. I thought I was going to remember it all. If you could tell your younger self something, what would you tell your younger self? And the takeaway from today's episode. So for the audience, if you could let them know, if you didn't hear anything else I said, if you could take this one takeaway, remember this. So those are the 2 questions that I have. And I'm going to give you a minute to think about it. You don't have to answer right away. I'm going to go over here and we're going to play a video real quick, and then we're going to be right back.
Okay.
All right. Hang tight, my sunshine. Conversations with Celena. We'll be right back. Hey, sunshine. I don't know what's going on with the video. It wanted to act like it didn't want to keep playing. Right. So now we're back. And if you could tell your younger self something, what would you tell the young Annetta?
That things are not always going to be dark, and that God is going to use this in a way that you couldn't imagine, and to hold on for the ride, and just to trust God, trust the process, trust what He's going to be doing. And so yeah, that's probably what I would just to relax. Everything is going to work out. It's going to be fine. You don't have to freak out, because I would freak out a lot.
And listening to you say that, you put me in the minds of the lady that was your sponsor when you said her voice was so calming and she
Yeah.
was just glowing. Like, that's you now. Like, you're the person with a calm voice that is glowing. And you like, I'm loud, but your voice is very calm and soothing. So I appreciate that, who
You're
you
making me
have
cry.
become. Oh,
In a good
yes,
way. It's a good way.
yes, who you have become is beautiful. You're
Thank you.
beautiful. Your
Thank you.
testimony is almost just, it's wow. Yeah.
Thank you. So what I would say, my takeaway is give God a chance, and if you can, just surrender everything to Him today. If you could surrender it all to Him, watch and see what He can do with your life. So there's hope for you, no matter how dark things seem in your life, no matter what struggles you're going through as of, like, at this moment, that you can surrender that to God and see Him blow you away if you could just surrender it. I feel like surrender is the biggest thing with my testimony, with any message I have, because I'm just somebody that said yes to what God wanted, and then He was able to heal my heart, to change things, to put people in my path that loved me, and to heal this broken person that I was to where I'm at now, is only because God got a hold of me, and I let His love in, and I let Him have all my junk, and then He started making it into something pretty. So
And my takeaway is, the sooner you say yes to God,
yes.
the better, because you said okay to everything. But when it came to the surrender part, well, let me think about it.
Let
Let
me
me, let
think.
me think about it. So,
Say yes sooner.
yes, say yes sooner. I love that. I love that. Well, thank you so much. Hopefully, you will come back again on Conversations with Celena. We would love to have you back again,
That would be
to just
awesome.
have more conversation. And I'm sure that the Lord will give you something different to talk about, but the same. You know what I mean? Like, it's
Yeah.
almost, when you watch a movie, you get something different every time. I feel like every time you tell your testimony, you tell something this time that you maybe not didn't touch on or elaborate on the last time. So I'm already inviting you back. So
Aw, thank you, and thanks for
thank
letting me be
you.
on here. I appreciate it.
Oh, thank you, girl. Thank you. Well, listen, y'all go share a smile and spread some sunshine. Until next time, y'all keep it smiling, sunshine. And thank you again, girl.
Thank you.
Thank you. We out.